Derrick White reveals the truth behind why he's had such a hot scoring start to the season, and it's a little bit unexpected. We'll be diving into that. Plus, this Celtic is in for a big minutes increase soon after his performance in the last game, with some people speculating he could move up the depth chart a couple of places. So you'll want to stick around for all that on this episode of Celtics Digest. But before we get into the video, a reminder that there are thousands of you watching this right now that have not hit the subscribe button. We are soaring past 1,500 subs. We are almost at 2,000 subs. And if you guys are enjoying this Boston Celtics content, we have it all season long for you guys here at Celtics Digest. Let's jump first into Oshae Brissett. This is the Celtic I was talking about in the intro, and he is really a game changer now. If you watched the Celtics game last night, and they came out victorious against the Miami Heat, you know that Oshae Brissett, he changed the momentum the second he came into the game. And, you know, he's one of those guys that sort of flew under the radar as a Celtics signing this offseason. As we certainly talked about him here at Celtics Digest, but a lot of fans, and maybe more so casual fans, have never heard of Oshae Brissett before and maybe didn't know what he could bring to the table, but he certainly showed out. Let's take a look at an article written today about it. Brissett they said Joe Mazzulla planned for him to start the second quarter. They brought him in earlier in the first quarter, and Brissett immediately corralled 2 offensive rebounds in his first 2 minutes. But his ability to punish the Miami on the offensive glass started to set the tone for the roster. They closed out the first quarter on a 12-2 run with Brissett on the floor, and the team followed the lead, attacking the offensive glass from there on out. But he was singled out by multiple teammates, including Jayson Tatum. Quote, "He was the sole reason that we got back into the game, and I told him that. He came right in, and we were kind of flat. His energy, his offensive rebounding, giving us second and third chance opportunities. It was big, and that's his job. For him to come do that, to not play last game and come in today and give us a spark to turn the game around was huge, and that's what I love about our team." And it wasn't just Jayson Tatum, Jaylen Brown, the coaching staff, everyone had a ton of praise for Oshae Brissett. And later in this article, they say, like, hey, you know, maybe you don't see him as a traditional 4. He's more of a 3. You know, typically throughout his whole NBA career, he's been more of a 3. It's 3/4. But with this offensive rebounding prowess and his ability to be very physical and to get to the right places, he could eat up some of those backup 4 minutes. And again, we've talked about how backup big is such a big thing for the Celtics coming into this year, whether it's Neemias Queta, it's Luke Kornet's not so hot start to the season. Maybe Oshae Brissett, if he keeps up this type of play, can maybe eat some of those backup big minutes. And if we look at his career averages, he's never been a bad rebounder, right? 5.5 boards a game, 11 points one year, right? And a lot of you guys maybe haven't followed his career course. Started with 19 games in Toronto and 3 seasons in Indiana, where he kind of had a bit of a decrease in role every single year. You can see those minutes per game dropping each year. But you know, coming into the Celtics right now, he's not there to score. He's there to get some boards, offensive boards specifically, with his 2 offensive boards, or 3 offensive boards, pardon me, and his 2 points. Right on his career, look at that. Averaging 1.6 offensive boards per game as a small forward in 21-22 is really impressive. So this is nothing new if you've watched Oshae Brissett before. He's one of those guys that's very much an energy guy. And while, yes, he's had some seasons where he's been asked to score a little more, you know, 11 points a game here, 8 points a game there. He had some decent shooting, right? We can show that again, flash it up. His 3-point shooting, 42% one year, 35% another. But that's not his main role, right? He's there for solid defense. I mean, is it the most outstanding thing? No, not necessarily. But he's just a big 3/4 who crashes the offensive glass and gives energy. And those kind of guys don't need to play every night. But in a game where the Boston Celtics are facing the Miami Heat in a rivalry that's been going for, 10 plus years now, it feels like, to have that kind of guy come in, that kind of guy to come in and spark your team is very, very valuable. And props to Joe Mazzulla for making the right call. Because again, like we said, he was originally supposed to only put Oshae Brissett in at the start of the second quarter, but saw the Celtics were, I don't know if I want to say floundering, but maybe needed a bit of energy. And Oshae was ready to go. And we know we have guys on the bench that can do that, like Lamar Stevens too. These guys in the preseason showed that they have a ton of energy. They're willing to get down and dirty, do all those kind of things so that they can help the Celtics bounce back, right? Give them a bit of a spark, a bit of energy. And that little bit of energy can go such a long way. Like we saw, the Celtics ended that quarter on a 12-2 run. So awesome from Oshae Brissett. I hope to see more from him in the next few games because, again, didn't play in the season opener, but I think we'll see him get a lot more chances after that performance last night. But speaking of performances last night, oh my gosh, Derrick White. Look, he had 28 points. He had 3 blocks in the game, including a fantastic chase down block on Jimmy Butler. And we all knew Derrick White was awesome. We're all huge Derrick White Buffalo fans here. But he revealed the truth as to why he is seemingly a little more aggressive on offense. He's up 28 points, leading the team in scoring. Like, what happened to you, Derrick? Well, here's the secret. quote, hearing from some of the top guys in the league that they want you to be more aggressive, it obviously gives you confidence. Derrick White talks about how Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown have encouraged him to be more aggressive on offense. And you know what? That's a very good point. I mean, how many of you people out there have played sports or really done anything in life, and just that encouragement from someone who's good at a certain hobby or a certain sport have said, hey, yeah, you're good. You got to be more aggressive. You got this, right? That just gives you so much confidence. And it's no different for Derrick White, even though he's like been in the league for a number of years. He's almost 30 years old. Hearing that is still very helpful. And if we look at his career stats, it's not like scoring was ever a struggle for him. Of course, 15 and a half points a game in only 36 games in 2020, 2021. But he's had stints, right? His final stint with San Antonio before coming over to Boston, he averaged 14 points a game. His efficiency has only gotten better in the past couple of years. At 46% with Boston last year. Of course, his younger numbers on lower volume were decent percentages. But look at that. His 3-point shooting is going up. And so far this year, he is really scoring at a good rate. And he's also averaging 2 blocks a game on top of that. But to hear that Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown are telling Derrick to be more aggressive, that is phenomenal, because on nights like last night, right? You have your starting 5, right? You had Jrue Holiday put up 17, 10, and 7, which is ridiculous. You had Derrick White put up 28 points and 3 blocks. You had Jayson Tatum do Jayson Tatum things. And he didn't go out and score 30, but he was very, very solid. Jaylen Brown bounced back, had 27. And Porzingis did what you needed him to do with 17. And you had some nice backup guys like Al Horford. While he didn't maybe shoot the best, he came in and did what he needed to do. And Oshae Brissett, right? He came in and he got those offensive boards. So you have a guy like Derrick White, who on any given night is able to drop that 20 to 30 points. That is so valuable. Like, just look at how many points, how the points were spread out by the Boston Celtics. That's not something we're used to as Celtics fans, right? Last year was basically Jaylen Brown, Jayson Tatum, or bust. And while, yes, I know a lot of fans were talking about losing a bit on defense with losing Marcus Smart and Robert Williams, and while Kristaps Porzingis is a very good rim protector, Jrue Holiday is voted by a lot of players as the best perimeter defender in the league. Derrick White is right up there too. While, yes, maybe you lose a bit of mobility on post defenses, pick and roll switchability with Robert Williams, whatever, to have the ability to have these 5 guys who can go out there and score a bunch on any given night is really just amazing. You don't need Tatum and Brown to both have 25, 30 points every single night to get a win anymore. And a great thing about these first 2 games of the season, if you guys look at the stats, the Celtics played 2 playoff caliber teams in the Knicks and the Heat, right? And both of those teams shot well above average from 3. I think they're shooting like opposing teams, so the Knicks and the Heat, I think combined are shooting something like 48, 49% from 3 through the first 2 games of the season against the Celtics. And the Celtics are only shooting 38, 39%. If you look at last year, this Boston Celtics team, if that happened, the Celtics were losing the game. It happened in the playoffs when the Miami Heat went on these big crazy runs, basically a full series worth of runs where their 3-point shooting was at an elite level. The Celtics weren't able to combat that. But so far this year, despite other teams shooting extraordinarily well from 3, the Boston Celtics are able to hold their own and able to still come back, bounce back in the game, have different guys attack from different angles, these cold streaks where the Celtics just maybe aren't able to score for a little bit. While that didn't happen a ton last year, it's going to happen a lot less this season, especially if someone like Derrick White is able to step up and score 25 on any given night if you need him to, whether it's him, whether it's Jrue Holiday, Brown, Tatum, Kristaps Porzingis, or if it's Al Horford coming in and hitting like 5 threes, getting 20 points or something like that, right? Having that versatility is so valuable, and so far it's paying dividends for the Celtics. And you see some other players saying that the Celtics look different, and I think that's very true when you have so many guys able to come in and not only score but also lock down on D. Like, again, Derrick White is Jimmy Butler's father, basically. It's crazy. It's a privilege to watch this team so far, and I know we're just 2 games into the season. I always hate to be the one to overreact so early into a season, but it's extremely fun to watch. It's extremely exciting, and there's a lot of anticipation building the rest of the way. But that'll do it for this episode of Celtics Digest. If you're still around at this point in the video and you haven't hit subscribe, why not? You enjoyed the video. There's a lot more where this one came from. I'm Josh Gosse. We'll catch you in the next one.